The halfway stage of the season comes into full view at the newest track that iRacing has to offer. This track, this very, very beautiful track of ever-decreasing circle radius, very similar to Phillip Island, has one used as a testing track for many a time, has been a staple fixture in calendars all across Europe and the entirety of the world. And in Barcelona, at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, this is the track which really does cement not only for a community, but also for a legacy of great sim racing that's going to go down. Qualifying currently underway here on Forever Sim Racing, because the British Sim Racer TCR Sunday Cup is here live and uninterrupted. It is Jake Sperry here in the commentary booth. No Caitlin Penny this week, but we still do have Marco Barbanera on the cameras, which are provided by the legendary Dougie Beard. And of course, those that we have to thank here this evening, of course, goes to Force X Designs, who are our graphic sponsors for this production, this broadcast, as well as Violet, the music heard in the openings. You can get her music, of course, on Bandcamp and on Spotify as well. Make sure that you check those places out. But this is an important part of the season. These are rounds 16 to 18. They mark the halfway stage of a season which is very much a case of you can't truly predict what's going to happen, because as we've all seen, anything which could possibly be anything has been happening over the entirety of this run. And more importantly, that anything which could be anything goes to look at the Drivers' Championship at the moment, because this is very, very crucial in the Excite Energy Championship point. Cedric Nebelshek does hold the lead on 1,004 points. Lead has ever so slightly incrementally increased ahead of Robin Haase in his teammate with 968 points, and Nicole Foggy in third on 961. But you'll see on the right-hand side an added column. That is your showdown point for every driver, and those are going to be key, because after the 9th meeting of the championship, we reset everything. We say that the showdown becomes between the top 9 drivers in this field. Of those 9 drivers, they will immediately be elevated to 10,000 points, as so they cannot be caught by anyone behind them. But more importantly than that, it's 10,000 points plus your showdown points. Now, I hear you ask, how do you get those showdown points? And well, it's very simple. 5 points for a win, 3 points for a second place, 1 point for a third place finish. For a fastest lap, you get 2 added points. For a lap led, you get a point of your own as well. But remind us that if you go over 20 incident points, you lose a showdown position. So if you keep that all into perspective, that will mean that Nicole Foggy is currently going to be your leader in the championship, as he finds himself inside the top 9 with the most showdown points. But it is worth noting that Kip Stevens in 9th position currently has no showdown points to his name, but finds himself in that magical 9th place. Worth also talking about Chris Daines in 8th position, has decided to skip out this week here at Barcelona. He will not be scoring any points from this one, so chances galore for the likes of Adam McNally, Adam Hedgecock, even Paul Burgess to maybe sneak inside of the top 10 as things stand. But we move on to the Teams Championship, the Dragon Internet Teams Championship, where XV Racer do hold a lead, but it is a slender margin, only 13 points over Team Ren Sport Online. The two teams have been trading backwards and forwards all year long, with Excite Energy in 3rd position. Very much a solid 3rd position. Momo team have had a lack of members over the last couple of rounds of the championship. No Jamie Ayres, no Steve Hefford. That's why they've been struggling, and they find themselves in 4th place. Boost 10 Motorsports currently round out the top 5, and they are looking to chase down that Momo team. Looking behind them, Brittech Simsport, Optical, Year One, Evolution Racing Team, and Automech there make the 11 at the top of the field. But your amateur category as well, keep an eye on this, because Charles Kellyman does hold the advantage, but his advantage is slim. It is only 10 points over Sean Gardner, who was clinical but not clinical enough at the last round at Road Atlanta. Needs to find a few more positions to really gain in. Andy Maxwell for Optical finds himself in 3rd place as well. 3 result clothing cars in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Carl Hardy, who I believe has shed his moniker of Wrecking Ball Carl, is there in 4th, with Scott Malcolm in 5th and Anthony Jacob in 6th position. So that's going to be crucial as this goes on. Currently, though, when it comes to qualifying, it's Cedric Nebelshek who is in complete control at the top of the times at the moment. 156.040 after 9 minutes of 30 have already been score complete. A Cedric Nebelshek that leads the championship and needs every single point that he can get, and needs some consistent finishes after really struggling to get himself top 3s. He has been there at the top of the championship on the mistakes of others, where someone like Nico Foggy, for example, has been a lot better at scoring the points that have been needed. Foggy at the front of the V-Racer 4-car train, currently 9th position at the moment, 157.4. Very difficult during a lap together here at Barcelona. It's a long lap, and every single corner has an opportunity to go wrong. This is a chronic track worth of understeer, and although it is currently 11:43 in sim time, track temperature is already up at 38 degrees, which is nice to warm at the moment heading around track. You wouldn't want it too much hotter here in Montemelo, Catalonia, Spain. You've got to make sure that everything has got to be perfect around every point of the lap. And doing a little bit of practice myself, instant points are going to be very, very important track of the longer that racing goes on. So we'll keep an eye out on just how quick everyone is going to be going. Your top 5 currently is Nebelshek, followed by Adam Hedgecock for Boosted Motorsports. He's having a good start at the moment qualifying. Niels Carstensen finds himself 3rd for Ren Sports Online. Adam McNally in 4th, and just moving up into 5th position is Ashley Beard in the top 5. And Ashley Beard, someone who really got robbed 1 week ago at Road Atlanta, had himself a fantastic drive, almost found himself with a big victory, but it did not fall into his hands. He ended up getting caught in the incident with Robin Haase, who picked up 2 wins last time out at Road Atlanta, and is looking to go 3 straight. Currently finds himself not on track yet at the moment, with currently 21 drivers setting lap times out of 26 who have currently turned up at the moment to race. A reduction in terms of numbers here for this one, and a surprising reduction at that. Most of that probably down to the fact that this is a brand new track, that people are maybe a little less reliable to buy a brand new track, but those are the ebbs and flows when you have a brand new circuit on the service. You have to make sure that people are going to want to drive and want to splash out the money to race, and I'd certainly think it's a track which a lot of people should try and keep themselves in and try and make sure that they get the best times possible. Keep an eye on Steve Baxter, though. He's been in and out and has really been more revolutionary for the XP Racer Challenge. Finds himself currently inside the top 5 at the moment on a 156.5, as Johnny Brandon has gone fastest on a 155.7. Nico Foggy second, 155.9. So both of them getting brilliant times in, times which they very much needed to get correct, as the XV Racer train certainly continues. They head up towards turns 7 and 8 out on track. Beautiful left, right, up the hill, which is always going to test that mid-cornering speed in any vehicle that you find. And this is where XV Racer have been good. When they've had 4 drivers out there trying to run times and trying to race, XV Racer have been unstoppable in terms of their points totals and picking up those points totals. They are probably the most consistent team at getting numbers right in and amongst the top conditions. And you have to say as well that Team RSO have been the next best, because they've always been knocking in and about with some very strong numbers, some very good drivers always up there. Of course, they do have the champion leader, and that will always look to try and help out in terms of getting some time improvements. But every single time is going to be crucial. Most importantly, an eye on car 56, Sean Gardner for the Boosted Motorsports team. They find themselves in 9th position with this time, 4,000 quicker than Martin MJ Sampson in 10th position overall. So Sean Gardner really putting together a very, very strong time. And this is the crucial fact with pulling him ahead in, or getting himself towards the top of the amateur category championship, because Jim Flanagan currently only on a 158.6, which is the big, big difference for them in the Team Mad car. And that difference, of course, 1.4 seconds always makes a big difference. That is the big difference, which I think a lot of people are going to try and look at and say, well, am I good? Am I not doing so good? How am I faring today? Jim Flanagan looks across the line and he does not improve on his time. So he needs to find just a little bit more out there to really go and get those improvements. Starting though, a flying lap. His first flying lap will be Robin Haase, who will be the big eyes to keep on. He's been right up there, getting in and amongst it for better or for worse in terms of his challenges. The track is starting to cool slightly, though. There is a bit of cloud cover over this track. That's going to bring that track temp down by a good 2 degrees as he goes down the hill into turns 1, 2, and the long sweeping turn number 3, which always a big challenge. He was riding it at 140 kilometers an hour down to about 135, and then he picks up the run off of the exit using all of his road tap and a little bit more before heading into Repsol corner, turn number 4, out on track. Dives it down under 100 Ks, hugging the apex tightly as you do with ever decreasing corners, and then is the big braking zone at turn number 5, which is always going to be a case of can I lunge into this left-hander, head down the hill, and then very swiftly back up of it through the kink of 6 into 7 and 8. The left and the right-handers as just keeping an eye out. I do believe we have seen improvements of time. Dan Brown has moved up into 7th position, which he'll be very happy with, but will stay with Robin Haase, who heads himself through turn 9, the big 90-degree right-hander, passing a lot of gravel on the outside. Then Lakaitsa comes in, turn number 10, this very tight corner, always changed, and of course that old famous long sweeping left-hander no more. Now it's very tight, allowing a rallycross effort in through the kink of turn 11 and the right of turn number 12. Again, another 180-degree right-hander, always testing the tires around this track. And again, the other change of track, turns 13, and then the 14-15 chicane. The second one, of course, the moto chicane there used will not be the one that we're looking at. So through the left, right, and then onto the power through the final corner, the Fernando Alonso F-duck corner, for those who really do have a memory, and a short run over to the start-finish line. 1:7 for an opening lap time. Good enough for 17th position, but as we know, it takes a couple of laps to get the tyres up to temperature, to get them up to speed, and get these drivers happy out on track. Some drivers that will be happy in terms of their times will be Carl Jacquelet and Dan Blake for the year 1 team. They've got themselves a little bit of a change to their liveries, which they'll be very happily showing off, as I know that team boss Graham Sessford will be very happy to see is the 42 and the 127. You cannot miss their numbers on the front of their bonnets to remind them, yes, we are driving in that number vehicle as well, as they make their way through. Dan Blake is up in 12th position at the moment. Very solid, with Carl Jacquelet just behind him, actually on track and in position in 13th, 157.4s for the pair of them at the moment. That puts them 1.7 seconds off of a pole position, which Johnny Brandon holds. But in terms of practice, it was very clearly a Nicole Foggy track who found a 155.2 as his best time and absolutely blitzed the field in terms of what he was going to be capable of doing. We keep an eye out on that. The longer that this qualifying session goes on, we are already past the halfway stage at the moment. We have ourselves just 12 and a half minutes before we get ourselves towards the gridding procedure for the very first time tonight. 2 sprint races followed by the big feature race of 30 minutes. Of course, the 2 sprints being 15 minutes worth of racing action, but it's that 30-minute race always proves to be the big difference maker in this field. On top of that, we have 2 reverse grids as well happening for round 17 and rounds 18 of the championship to close out an opening half of the season. Absolutely fantastic. Keep an eye out on, no matter where you have been looking for it. But keeping an eye out on Sean Gardner, he's now into 11th position and abandoning his lap. Julian Janowski has done a 156.714. That's good enough. Put him up into 8th position. He's been a very silent warrior over the course of this season. He's been fantastic at just quietly picking up the points. He picked them up after missing the opening round of the season, but from there, Julian Janowski now finds himself inside of the top 15 of the championship. That much has been very, very crucial for what Julian Janowski is wanting to be doing, and he does have a very good outside shot of putting himself inside of that magic top 9 to make his way towards the showdown. Everything coming up Janowski when it comes to the way that he races. Scott Malcolm finds his own improvements for the number 74 get some words out, Jake. Result clothing team. He finds himself part of the work guard and up inside the top 15 on a 157.4 as well. So Scott Malcolm definitely has a lot of pace that he can be very happy with at the moment as he encroaches on the two Excite Energy cars, which just pull off to the side and allow Scott Malcolm the chance to go through. Adam McNally currently in 10th position on a 1:56.7, 1 second off of fastest Ashton Beard, up in 6th place, finding a better turn of form around this track. And lower numbers do have big advantages for all these drivers in the field, and that is there are more points to play with at the moment here today. Just 26, as we've said already, but 26 drivers play for points. Always going to be big for drivers who do turn up. They will get more points in that championship. They will make more gains longer this goes through. Someone looking to find those gains in the championship, Andrew Woodhouse in the Evolution Racing Team car, part of the Apex Evolution brand that the pair of them are working. No Adam Bath at the moment. He's probably busy looking at what has been happening between Manchester United and Liverpool this evening. But Andrew Woodhouse currently 157.566, 5 thousandths behind Kip Stevens, which no slouch at all by his standards as he looks to gear up to start his own flying lap, and he'll be looking for a good lap time to work for him as everybody looks for their own bit of track. Someone who will be struggling to get a lap together will be Carl Hardy, because he's just gone through, I believe that is a very interesting accident for the number 875. He was heading up through turn 12 out on track. He heads himself through the right hander as he's hugging the apex. That's a big snap left, and it's almost like he had himself a big hardware failure there, that big slap left, and only now is he able to turn it and get himself going again. So a quick reboot of the steering wheel, and he'll be looking to try and get himself back going again, but that was not part of the Carl Hardy plan, and already it seems that his night may be a long one if he is struggling a little bit with issues of the technical variety relating to his steering wheel. So we'll keep an eye out on how that one plays out into the long haul of this. But still, it is Johnny Brandon who leads, Nicole Foggy second, Cedric Nebelshek third, Adam Hedgecock fourth, and Steve Baxter rounds out the top 5. From there, Beard, Brown, Janoski, Haase moves up into position number 9 over his last lap, and Niels Carson rounds out the top 10. Dan Blake, though, does move into 14th now because Carl Jacquelet behind him has found a bit of a turn of pace, 156.7. That's good enough to move up in 12th place. That leapfrogs Sean Gardner now in 13th, who is currently lucky thumb as one of the leading amateur drivers. So we'll see how Sean Gardner will go over the course of this one. He'll try and make sure that every inch of what he gets going to be fantastic. Of course, keep an eye on that XP Racer train still. Nicole Foggy at the front of it. Nobody wants to give Nicole Foggy a bit of help as the man who has the most pole positions this season, has the most race won victory this season. Some may argue out and out the top driver in terms of pace this season. He has been the driver to keep an eye out on, and we will see how that one will play out in the next allotted 7.5 minutes worth of qualifying that is left. Drivers towards the bottom who haven't set times. Robert Lundgren has not gone out to set a lap, nor has Andy Maxwell. Both of them serving penalties which will prohibit them from qualifying to start this one. That I can be sure of. But every other driver, the 24 out there, looking to try and put big times together, and drivers who aren't trying to put those times together are just waiting, buying their time, hoping that that track is going to come down, because it has just jumped at the moment in terms of track temperature, up by 3 degrees. So it's very volatile at the moment. They hope there's going to be a bit of cloud a little bit later on that's going to help out in terms of sometimes. Both Haase and Carstensen running together 9th, 10th. That's not exactly what they were hoping for the Rennsport Online team. They need to be up there challenging those drivers in front of them, and they know that only Nebelshek in 3rd is really going to challenge 4 drivers inside of the top 7 that the XV Racer boys very much have at the moment. So we'll see how that plays out for them at the moment, as no improvement to Dan Blake or Carl Jackalette over the course of their lap at the moment. Michael Bingham is someone who will be looking for improvement. Had a habit of falling down the order in reverse grid races and finding himself off at certain places. He'll be looking to try and change that with good times as he gets on the brakes into Lakaitsa, turn number 10, trying to put the power back on as they head through the left and the right once more. Behind Kip Stevens, which is going to be good in terms of that draft. Bingham's currently 22nd. Stevens down in 18th place overall at the moment, as he is probably looking to try and make sure that his lap time works in favour for him. No improvements for Adam Hedgecock, who's gone over the line. He'll be trying to help James Leggett up the order, who's on a 1:58.2 at the moment, which is not quick enough by his standards. He is a full 2.7 seconds back off of the pace, as Johnny Braddon has found improvement and gone faster, as has Nicole Foggy. So they find themselves a couple of tenths of a second to say, we're going a bit quicker and we're going to try everything that we possibly can to find that time, which is going to help us out massively. Dan Brown has moved up into 5th place now on a 1:56.4, and that's good enough for him, as he has dropped off the back of the two in front, Brandon and Nicole Foggy, who both seem to be a little cut above, a second quicker almost, over the course of their lap perspective. And that is going to be the worry, that the time is going to be falling away from them with 5 minutes to go now, only in this qualifying session. And every single lap, of course, being 2 minutes, you have to feel you've got to be out there now to have any hope of getting a good lap time in, or you are going to be in a bit of trouble trying to get the tyres up to temperature on an out lap, a flying lap, and then the big money maker lap, which you can find as the second lap go around. It sometimes does take a couple laps to get these tyres perfect working condition, but we'll see how that perfect working condition goes for every single driver out there currently, as the XV Racer train makes its way through the final corner, turn 16 out on circuit. Foggy absolutely flying through this section and trying to find a little bit of improvement. Does, but he is an exact 1/10 of a second off of the 1:55.520 that's currently scored at the moment. So Nicole Foggy now stays in second, but he's got a lot of help for that second position. Dan Brown does not find improvement, nor does Steve Bax, nor does Andrew Woodhouse as well. James Leggett does find his improvement, though. He jumps up into 18th place, bumping Kit Stevens and Andrew Woodhouse down. Only 6,000 off of Carl Hardy, who's on a 1:57.5. So he's very much 2 seconds off the pace at the moment, but still some good pace that we have seen from these drivers. Train now of Beard, McNally, and Stevens will make their way over to the start-finish line as they use all of the track, and McNally maybe uses a bit too much there, catching the gravel as he goes through that section. Both drivers not setting representative times there, but we'll be looking to put the magical lap time together here over the course of this one. So we'll see how that one works out, as Robin Haasser and Niels Carstensen, 58.5 and nothing between them. No improvements. Drivers on pit road include Adam Hedgecock, Cedric Nebelshek, Jim Flanagan, Carl Hardy, Dan Blake, Carl Jackalette, John Roberts, who we haven't talked about, down in 21st position. Surprising to see him that low. Scott Malcolm and Martin Sampson. So only about half the field are eligible at the moment. Set some lap times, one of them being Sean Gardner, who goes through the very tricky chicane. Of course, these vehicles, the Audi RS3s, they do not like anti-cut curves. You very much cannot attack those sections. You have to be very respectful across the line. He goes, no improvement in terms of time, but he has 2 laps worth of time that he can bank on and try and find once more. The XV Race train heading into the fantastic final complex here. That slow left-right section at just 75 kilometers an hour, hitting the power up, trying to dial it up at max speed as much as you possibly can, and they will very much have 2 laps to go and a bit of spare change. We'll watch and see how close they get over the line. Foggy, not a quick time by his standards, trying to get the train back together to help out Baxter and Dan Brown as they leave it to the last possible second, get their lap time sorted. But drivers from here will only have 1 more lap after this. This will include Lee Deemer in the Excite Energy car. He's not with his team. He's down in 22nd position right now and in a whole world of trouble trying to find his improvements on his own. He has no draft, 157.8, no help for him in the Excite Energy car. He needs to find a little bit more. He wants to get those improvements. Also crossing the line just then was Michael Bingham. He also doesn't find any changes in terms of his time. He needs a little bit more. What about Robin Haase? What about Niels Carstensen? The two will be working together. 57.3 from Carstensen is 6/10 off of what he needs. Robin Haase 56.8, a 10 off of what he needs, but he needs just 1,000th to move past Julian Janowski. That much he certainly does know at this point in time, that every single thing that he needs to do needs to be magic. Nicole Foggy and co. making his way over towards the big left-hander. And Nicole Foggy goes straight on to allow Johnny Brandon through. He abandons it and deliberately drives it straight on into the wall. Johnny Brandon decides that his lap's done, and Dan Brown's lap is very much done as well. Steve Baxter's very much isn't at this point in time. That could be the big difference maker. Overall, Sean Gardner, 57.3, does not find improvement in 13th position, but that clock is ticking. Just a good 12 seconds remaining in terms of time, and this is going to be tight, and it is a short run to the start-finish line, so that's going to be a bit of solace for these drivers as they make that push. 3, 2, 1, and time expired right as they cross the line. And I think Steve Baxter gets in on a 56.9. That's not good enough. Johnny Brandon, no improvements, not good enough. So every time from here becomes crucial. Lee Diemer looking to improve then from 22nd place, 57.8 at the moment, 4/10, good enough to put himself on the 8th row, but he finds no improvement. Dives down onto pit road. Michael Bingham heads his way through the final corners, and he will make his push over to the start-finish line. Does he find the bit of improvement looking for? He's down in 23rd on the 57.9. Has he found the time that he needs as he does cross the line and does not find any improvement at all? So that's not what Michael Bingham was hoping to find. Here's Robin Haase though, 56.715, his best. That's a good improvement, 56.381. That's good enough to move up into 5th place. So Robin Haase gives some life into the mix as Kip Stevens behind goes to 13th on a 157 flat. So improvements all round. None for Niels Carstensen, though, who does not find the time that he was hoping to expect. Sean Gardner is the last driver who can possibly set a lap time. 157.1, his best option that he has left to beat. He needs just a 0.5 of a second to move past Kip Stevens in the 55 car, who's ahead of him by 1 position and 1 number in terms of what they've chosen. Round the final corner at turn 16, all of the curb for Sean Gardner. Short run to the line, 157.154. He does not get the improvement he needs. He was fractionally out, and that is everybody across the line then in qualifying at round 16 of the championship here at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. This is how the grid will stack up. So it'll be Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy on the front row. 155.520, 155.620. It makes all XV Racer front row, which will make them very, very happy. Cedric Nebelshek, the championship leader, will start this one 3rd position on a 156 flat with Adam Hedgecock. A great qualifying from him and the Boosted boys. He's got himself into 4th place. Robin Haase will start this one from row 3, and he's got Dan Brown alongside him. Ashley Beard, the best of the Excite iRacing cars, there in 7th position, with Steve Baxter rounding out the top 8 in the 888 vehicle. Julian Janowski will start this one from 9th position, ahead of Niels Carstensen, who rounds out the top 10. Adam McNally starts from 11th. Carl Jacquelet in 12th. Following that, it's Kip Stevens and Sean Gardner on row 7. Dan Blake will start this one 5th place, with Martin Sampson in 16th overall. Andrew Woodhouse, he says he's got a good long run pace in this vehicle. He'll start from 17th with Scott Malcolm in 18th place overall, with Carl Hardy and James Leggett 19th and 20th overall. John Roberts and Lee Diemer will start 21st and 22nd, with Michael Bingham 23rd, and the last driver to finish a lap being Jim Flanagan, the championship leader in the AM category, in 24th. Andy Maxwell will start ahead of Robert Lundgren on iRating purposes. As per the iRacing system, they will have row 13 to themselves to make a 26-car grid here at this Barcelona track. And 2 minutes to grid yourself up on this grid, or you start from that place known as pit road. And Nicole Foggy at the front of the field knows what he needs to do. He needs to get past Johnny Brandon first and foremost and try and consolidate some more of those showdown points. So vital. Nebelshek needs those showdown points. He needs victories and he needs fastest laps as well. And those are very, very difficult to come by over the course of a racing season. He is already 9 points back by that respect over Nicole Foggy, despite the fact he has 40 points in the championship at the moment. Every driver knows what they need. You look a little bit further back. What can the likes of, say, Ashley Beard do to get himself back into the fight? Dan Brown is there, as well as Adam Hedgecock, who's trying to get himself inside that top 9 and really cement his position. A 4th place in qualifying has been revolutionary for that. Talk about the AM category at the moment. The likes, of course, of Jim Flanagan for Team Mad. He needs to find some improvements here. He knows that his pace isn't there, but he'll be hoping on retirements with a reduced field. That becomes a lot less likely. 25 seconds before the grid up process is very much complete. Still waiting. Kip Stevens, who will wait for the last possible moment to get himself up onto the grid, as well as Robert Lundgren, who we believe will be starting this one off on pit road, as we get ourselves waiting for the light. Come on, and they come on and get off now as we get ourselves underway for racing action. Slow start in the middle. I think that's Janowski who's got the bad one there as things get going. And already Johnny Brandon has himself right on that outside. Will they coordinate a move into turn number 1 and 2 to try and get this one to work? Who dares attack on cold tyres on the brakes into the opening section? It's as you were for the front 4 at the moment. Robin Haas has got through. Adam Hedgecock did not get a good start at all. He's already dropping back a number of positions behind Dan Brown, so he's the big loser at the front of the field. It is clean, though, for drivers at the front of the field, but Johnny Brandon under pressure already here from Nicole Foggy up into Repsol corner. Turn number 4, no chance of making the move as they head themselves through this section towards turn number 5. Nebelshek happy sit on the rear as they go through. They battle behind, though. Adam McNally there with Janos Carstensen, and around the outside tries Carl Jackalette. There's contact, and Adam McNally finds himself in the gravel after Janowski lunges for the inside. I think there may have been some netco there, and the one behind as well. Bang, 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 as 3 vehicles get themselves caught up in it. Scott Malcolm, Jim Flanagan, and Michael Bingham as well, all in one swift movement. We do stay green, though, however. A big, big incident at the back of the field, but it's just enough to stay green as they all find themselves all in a bit of trouble there. And that is just how quickly it goes wrong, as you see on the replay. At the front, though, the top 5 have broken away from Steve Baxter in 6th place, that being Brandon, Foggy, Nebelshek, Hassa, and Ashley Beard. And it is Cedric Nebelshek who is trying to push on here, score some points as he gets on the brakes into turn 13, trying to end the opening lap here as they go through the left and the right, trying to open up the corner. But still, Nicole Foggy in 2nd and Cedric Nebelshek in 3rd as Johnny Brandon leads this field, currently 4th in the championship. 1 points behind Nebelshek in terms of showdown points, though. That's very, very crucial as this race goes on. So this is going to be a tough challenge, and the run into turn 1 could be a big game changer in terms of how you make those moves. And Nebelshek decides against making the move into turn 1 after 1 lap is scored complete then around this track. Only 7-8 laps are going to be scored, and look at how aggressive Nebelshek's trying to be, widening the corner on entry, trying to get as much as he can on the exit as he thinks about going to the outside. There's no room at the in there, and you get slowdown penalties on that outside strip heading towards turn 4 at Repsol. So again, looking on the outside, trying to be a nuisance here to Nicole Foggy. He cannot find the move that he needs at the moment. Is there a defensive line into turn 5? Yes, there is from Nicole Foggy, so he feels like he's in a bit of trouble, but there is Johnny Brandon in trouble, who runs wide, and this is going to allow Foggy the chance now. Dive down the inside for the race lead. Do you dare go 3 wide, Cedric, as you think about making the move? On the brakes, turn 7, always dangerous between these drivers, and Foggy's got the position that he's wanted, and Johnny Brandon has done very well to maintain that 2nd place. A well-coordinated move by the XV Racer boys to keep that position, but again, Nebelshek trying to use all the track and 2 taps as well. Try and find a way through. You can't take your eyes off them at the moment, as will Johnny Brandon dive down the inside at Lakaiksa? No, will not. But again, Nebelshek trying the outside line. He's been on the outside pretty much the entirety of this lap, and he finally gets a pocket to look down at the inside of turn 12, but you can attack on the outside, and that is what Johnny Brandon is going to be doing, as again through turn 13, has he got the move sorted? Bit of a wiggle there from Nebelshek, and on the outside, he's not got it at turn 14, and this really does slow up the field, and heavy over the anti-cut curb there was always going to be the issue, and it slows up Haase and Beard in 4th and 5th place, which is not part of the plan, and there is drama behind, because there is Dan Blake, who is turned around in the infield there after contact with Julian Janowski for the second time, who got a slide on through the corner. Dan Blake nowhere to go. A bit of help there from Janowski by Andrew Woodhouse through that section, and that sees both of them drop numerous positions down the field. Not part of their script at the moment. What is part of the Nicole Foggy script, though, is the fact that he is at the front, and he is very happy with where he is in terms of position. The battle, though, for the minor positions, I will call them at the moment, 6th and 7th right now, between Steve Baxter and Dan Brown going on at the moment, as Brown just takes that wider entry into the Repsol corner, turn 4, and very much waits. They've both got to work together, though, because Niels Carstensen is still there, and they've got to make sure that they break away from the German as quickly as they possibly can to stand a chance of bringing themselves back in. There's contact in the background. That's Steve Leggett, James Leggett, having contact with Adam McNally there, as in the middle of that is John Roberts. I don't know where I quite found the Steve there from, but just like that, James Leggett drops a position after contact through turn 4, and he was on that outside. McNally was trying to pinch some room, and I think that was just James Leggett just getting into them. Netco contact between them as the cars interlocked wheels, and was always never going to be easy from there for James Leggett, and he's done well in terms of his battle. Adam Hedgecock, though, straight down the inside of Andrew Woodhouse, who lets him have the position, and that is the chain for 11th place on the road. So Andrew Woodhouse very much letting that one go. Adam Hedgecock trying to get on the recovery. He started 4th, he's now in 11th position. Not really his best MO for the opening race, but still, Cedric Nebelshek sits and tries to attack with Johnny Brandon, sees Nicole Foggy starting to pull away into the distance, not outside of 1 second just yet. Gap was 7/10 of a second. It remains 7/10 of a second between the front drivers, as there was next to nothing. Nebelshek was the quickest man last time by, and he makes a big lunge down to the inside as he trades it, trying to get in on the brakes. Johnny Brandon trying to follow him through, but they both slide, and Johnny Brandon runs wide, and just like that, Nebelshek picks up 2nd position, and he had to work hard for it. And Johnny Brandon, the pole sitter, will want to try and get that one back as quickly as he possibly can. Ashley Beard there in 5th place, trying to help with Robin Haase there in 4th, but not in any position to attack. Someone who is, though, is Niels Carstensen. He's got Steve Baxter down the inside at Repsol. Can he get the move sorted? And no, he cannot, as the outside line proves very, very vital in terms of the battle. A true touring car circuit. You can say that Barcelona Circuit de Catalunya is, as they continue try and make their push. Niels Carstensen currently now in 8th place, 7th for Steve Baxter, as they continue to try and make their push up through the field and gain as many positions as they possibly can. The field very much stringing out drivers close, but not close enough to go out there and to make those moves, which we know that these drivers are very capable and very willing to go and send and do. And we'll see how that pace comes in as Ashley Beard runs wide at Lekaixa, trying to just test drivers on the brakes. Robin Haase has got to stay clean here in terms of his racing. 2 of his race wins, his 3 race wins this season, have come in very controversial circumstances. He'll be wanting just to stay quiet and get some consistent points coming out of this race. And talking about drivers who are being consistent, who are having good runs at the moment, one of your biggest movers and shakers in the field is Martin Sampson inside the top 10, who's currently up places at the moment, and he is absolutely loving life as he's got Carl Jacquelet just in front in terms of that battle. Just to keep in mind, 1 second broken for Nicole Foggy. A 55.8 was very much an improvement that was needed on the brakes into the open corner. Once again, half distance already scored complete after 4 laps worth of running, so they got that in their mind that they know they don't have long left. Try and get what they want. Long tracks, often more difficult tracks in terms of battles, as Michael Bingham and Scott Malcolm back in 24th and 25th. Both of them having to come down in and get themselves sorted out with some fast repairs. The only fast repair they have for this race. They've been banging and bumping, but Scott Malcolm does get the move done as they look to continue to find their time that they have gained out on the track. But still, Johnny Brandon, he refuses to let go here from Cedric Nebelshek. Can he think about the right way to go and make this move? This is what he's got to be thinking about. Where is the weakness here on Cedric Nebelshek, the man who very much is the maverick of the field? You can't predict where Nebelshek's going to go, what Nebelshek is going to do, and he knows better than anybody else that the man who always seems to have a plan in Johnny Brandon needs to find this one very, very soon if he wants to get himself a second place finish and more points in terms of not only the championship points, but the showdown points, all important showdown points that everyone seems to be looking at. So we'll see how this one plays out as they get on the brakes into the chicane once again. Johnny Brandon looking aggressive, but has to back out of it because of Nebelshek just taking up all of the track, using the road, and that's how you win here in races like these. You use all the track, and you make life very difficult for drivers to get around you. You make your car as wide as possible, and that's what Nebelshek does so well in the 393, time and time again, and it's helped him because he has gained in terms of his time. And in fact, Johnny Brandon was the fastest man on that last lap through on a 55.6, so that'll be very crucial in terms of trying to pick up some big bonus points. Adam McNally, though, against his own teammate, this back for 14th and 15th place. Lee Deemer up 8 places at the moment, but Adam McNally's going to try and get one back here as he looks down the inside to try and make this move sorted, and oh, he's got that so easy on the brakes. Can he slow it up? There's no question about it, he can. Adam McNally made sure he got past Deemer as they're on for second place as well. And keep an eye on this one because Johnny Brandon has just found his way through, and he's done so at turn 4. Get himself a great run through the inside of turn 3. Got it done at 4. And here at turn 5, has there a good run down the inside potential for Nebelshek? A lot of track extend there from Johnny Brandon. But again, Nebelshek thinking about making the move. But once more, Nico Foggy has his rear gunner, and this is helping. And look how bold that is down to the inside from Nebelshek. Knew he was going to run wide, Johnny Brandon, at 7 and 8. And at turn 9, he's down the inside, and he's got the move sorted. But Lakaitsa is one of the main overtaking opportunities at turn 10. Can you get there on the brakes and make sure that the move is done? And he's going to look around the outside to make this one work. And ultimately, nothing doing. Anti-cut curve. Go Tony Hawk a little bit there, Johnny, as you head through that section. And he has to stick behind and wait for Cedric Nebelshek to go out there and attack a little bit more out on track. Kip Stevens trying to be aggressive a bit further down the pack. He's thinking about James Leggett to get by, and he is not close enough yet to go and make that move as he now heads himself up through this big right-hander at turn number 12. But you keep an eye on the likes of Ashley Beard, who has that history with Robin Haase. Of course, it was their incident that cost them the race in terms of Excite Energy's race 1 week ago, trying to gather that one back together. But crucially, there aren't many laps to go. There is only 3 minutes and change. There was a think about the move down the inside. Nebelshek has himself the position back again, though, on Johnny Brandon. That's going to be very key for him too. But just like that, Robin Haase now finds himself under a bit of pressure, under the collar, as it has been a very, very clean race, apart from the opening lap where we saw a couple of things here and there. Nothing much has really gone wrong for many drivers in this field. This has been a pure pace drive for so many, and if they can find those moves, and those very important moves, you've got to start making them happen right now. Drivers to worry about for Michael Bingham and Scott Malcolm, because they are the lap traffic, and they are not too far behind in terms of the logistics of this race. Johnny Brandon thinking about the move down the inside at turn 7, does not decide to commit to it for the time being. All about the draft, all about the run. Hilly momentum is pretty much cases of 2x2 battles throughout to about an 8th place at the moment, where Niels Carstensen sits on the back and waits for Baxter and Brown to start having their moments. Nebelshek, big late move defensive there. That was a little late. That was into the braking zone there, and Johnny Brandon had to be wise there to where Cedric Nebelshek was going to make that move, and he has to stay behind once again. I think the win is out of reach now. Cedric Nebelshek, as Nicole Foggy has pulled away a gap of 2 seconds plus at the front of the field as he has to go uber defensive here as he tries to battle once more through the left-right of the chicane. And I believe the white flag lap coming up now as lap traffic becomes the key word, and Nicole Foggy will get one, and I think Nicole Foggy may just get two as well. White flag comes out for him. He leads once more on a race one. 3 straight battles to keep an eye out on, as well as Adam Hedgecock chasing down Sampson and Jacqueline for a top 10 spot. We'll keep both of those in mind as there is Johnny Brandon trying to go the long way round, and he's not getting it that way there. Cedric Nebelshek said, oh, you want to, you leave a channel on the outside, I'm going to give you the curb. That's all he had, the curb, and he was still able to slow it up. But still, Johnny Brandon, very happy in 3rd position, still has that ability to go out there and attack. Robin Haase there in 4th position, not out of the woods just yet, as they make their way through turn 4 at Repsol. The battle 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th all in view at the moment, as again, there is no chance of making the move down the hill at turn number 5. Any mistakes from any drivers? No, there are none, as they now start trying to pull their way up the hill towards turn 7 and 8 here, the left-right up the hill, and again the Belshek in good position, and he's got the draft to help with the traffic in front. That's going to be giving him a bit of respite. Adam Hedgecock a little bit further back, caught his train. Sampson and Jacqueline, he's got to go brave if he wants to go and make those moves late. Johnny Brandon, though, in 2nd, in position, on the outside. Can he get the move sorted? And he's gone so late on the brakes. And has he got it slowed up and sorted? He's got the inside here for turn 12. He stays on the outside of 11. This is a tough challenge for Nebelshek. The move is there, but the dramas of traffic are in front. That's not going to be what's needed. Can he think about making the move? Oh, that's brave. Down the inside. Contact between them and over the anti-cut curve. It's a push to pass as Ashley Beatrice getting it. No, there's big contact there between them. And Johnny Brandon paid what he got given through that section. I wasn't surprised to see it. It means that Nicole Foggy wins this one overall. There's more dramas in the background. Ashley Beard gets 2nd, Robin Haase 3rd, and there's more contact as round goes Johnny Brandon in front of his 2 teammates and ceremoniously dumped. Payback for the payback for the payback as Nebelshek goes through. The 2 clearly lost it between them as they turned into each other and started intentionally hitting each other and turning each other around. I expect race bans for maybe the pair of them as they go through, which leaves a tough decision for stewards. An ugly end to what was a very, very solid race between all drivers, which ends as follows. So Nicole Foggy picks up the race win in 15 minutes and 40 seconds. He had the easy job. He got around exactly where he needed to and got the perfect result overall. Ashley Beard gets 2nd place with himself 5 seconds back, and he steals that 2nd place away from Robin Haase, making the move in the 4th to last corner, right in front of dramas. Cedric Nebelshek will get 4th position, but will he have to take a sit out on the sidelines after turning intentionally there, in my view? Johnny Brandon there heading towards the line. Dan Brown gets 5th place with Steve Baxter in 6th. Niels Carstensen will get 7th place overall with Carl Jacqueline in 8th as he holds off Martin Sampson and Adam Hedgecock for a top 10 finish. Andrew Woodhouse will get 11th overall with Adam McNally 12th, and Johnny Brandon, who was 2nd at points in the final laps, he was down 13th come the end of that one with Carl Hardy in 14th and Lee Deemer rounding the top 15 out. James Leggett and Kip Stevens 16th and 17th. Sean Gardner gets 18th. Annie Maxwell 19th. Struggles for Dan Blake in the early stages. He gets himself back to 20th. Janoski had 2 taps of his own. 21st place for him with John Roberts 22nd. Jim Flanagan gets 23rd, the last finisher on the leading lap. Scott Malcolm and Michael Bingham 24th and 25th. Robert Lundgren not taking to the race then for the opening race of the evening. Well, with that all sorted out and, well, a lot of acrimonious circumstances, tensions very much at a boiling point. Johnny Brandon again involved in incident once more here with one driver being Cedric Nebelshek right at the pointy end, the meat and gravy of this season meeting number 6. We get the spinny wheel out. We'll see what the reverse grid has to offer. It will be helpful for Johnny Brandon, most likely, but we spin that wheel. We'll see where everyone heads up. Well, it's a full reverse grid, -3 drivers. So that's going to be very helpful for a lot of people out there on track. So that's going to be very, very crucial in terms of how the second race is going to go. We're going to step aside for one moment, though, here with Forever Sim Racing. We'll be back with round 17 of the championship after this.
alarm.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the British Sim Racers TCR Sunday Cup, or as it seems to be after that opening race, the Royal Rumble, brought to you by the WWE. It's been going off here, there, and everywhere as we've taken an elongated break here at Forever Sim Racing, just to make sure that there is enough time for everyone to compose before we go back to racing action at round 17 of the championship. Big dramas, and a big reverse grid as well for this one. It's going to mean that everyone now has got to work their way through the field over another 15 minutes worth of race action, and every single point becomes vital. A big thanks, though, has to go to Force X Design, who are the graphic sponsors of this broadcast, as well as Violet's, a music you can catch on Bandcamp and on Spotify. Make sure that you check her stuff out. It's absolutely fantastic to listen to and just calming to make sure that everything gets going. But we are, of course, about 30 seconds away from the second. Will go on. Everybody very much not happy about the way that things have gone in the opening race of the night. It was looking so clean for so long, some good, tough fighting, but they just stepped the boundaries a bit too far. And I think everyone should take a step back. That step back now becomes who can take the biggest step forward here in the second race of the evening. This is how gridding is going to be going up for the second race of the night, round 17 of the championship, and it stacks up a little bit like this. John Roberts will be on the pole position with Julian Janowski alongside. Dan Blake and Andy Maxwell will be on the second row with Sean Gardner and Kip Stevens. James Leggett and Carl Hardy are on row 4. Johnny Brandon on row 5 with Adam McNally as Andrew Woodhouse starts 11th and Adam Hedgecock in 12th. From there, Martin Sampson, Carl Jackalette. You got Niels Carstensen, Baxter, Dan Brown, Cedric Nebelchek, Robin Haase, Ashley Beard and Nicole Foggy, Flanagan, Malcolm and Bingham make the 24th. This one who will be taking up to the grid. 1 minute only, though. Get yourself on the grid, or you start from that place known as pit road, and that could be the big saving grace for a few drivers here in this field after dramas in the early stages. Dan Blake, one of the last drivers to get himself up on the grid, as we do wait for that final driver in the back being Nicole Foggy get onto that grid. Engine notes rise, though. Round 17 of the championship is underway, and it was a long wait as well. And completely caught off at the start was Dan Blake. He was thinking, he was waiting. There's contact there as he now makes it 3-4 wide as they go down towards turn 1. Some drivers not getting good starts, others getting great starts as they go through. Who dares be brave? Who dares be bold as they hit the brakes for the first time? Are there any worries into the opening concertina effect as they go through? No, there is not, as the few vehicles fan wide. The Herman Tilke design, very lucky for a few as they try and get themselves through. They battle hard, though, for first and for third as John Roberts and Julian Janowski side by side. Johnny Brandon already up to third with Andy Maxwell, Kip Co. all there. On the inside is Janowski trying to get the position. Can he unlock it against John Roberts, who again at Repsol runs the outside line and gets what he wants? So John Roberts loses out. Julian Janowski has the lead, but how deep do you go on the brakes? John Roberts is going to fight this one back on the inside of turn 5, and there's going to be no door-to-door contact as they go through, but running wide is Janowski, almost contact on the exit, but John Roberts somehow manages to hold onto the position he so desperately needed. McNally makes contact, and into the wall goes Dan Blake, hard into that section, and the year 1 driver will not be pleased at the fact that he's been turned just like that. McNally, who is one of the nicest drivers in the field, finds himself in all shades of trouble there as he runs into the back of Dan Blake as they go forward. Still, they battle for the lead. Johnny Brandon now on the back after a tumultuous opening race, trying to run the outside line. Can he pick it up on the inside? There's drama in the background. One of the cars goes off, and that is going to be Carl Hardy, and there's more drama as one of the Excite Energy cars struggles as well on cold tyres here on the opening lap. So there was 2 bits of contact. So Carl Hardy checks up, and Stevie in his McNally for a second time, who he just missed his braking point and trying to go around the outside with someone else. So Carl Hardy gets the treatment, and Wrecking Ball Mantra goes to Adam McNally, who clearly is struggling here in the early stages, and that has been 2 very, very clumsy incidents. Julian Janowski, though, leads this one. Johnny Brandon in second. John Roberts is there in third. Andy Maxwell fourth, and Kip Stevens rounds out the top 5 at the moment on this field at the moment. So they'll be trying to deal with their battling as they go on and continue to have their scraps. They dive down turn number one. Once again, where are some of your big drivers? 1 lap, 14 places. Nicole Foggy says all you need to know. That's how good he's been. Nebelchek up 8 inside the top 10. That's all you need to know about how good these drivers are that are pushing through. Say what you want, though, about incidents that have happened earlier on in this race. As the battle for fourth now hots up. Stevens trying to think about getting away through on Andy Maxwell. Mistake for John Roberts, though, just behind. And this is going to give Maxwell a chance at the podium here. Thinking about moving to the outside. Turns to the inside at turn 5. Can he get there down on the brakes? Yes, he can. And Andy Maxwell can't hold off John Roberts forever, who's stuck on the outside. Now Kip Stevens might think about diving down to the inside to try and make this move. Can he get it sorted? No, not just yet. As again, slow on that apex there. Gives John Roberts the run on the outside, and now everyone's going to try and run up the hill and freight train Maxwell on the outside. Oh, there's contact with Kip Stevens. Stevens goes spread eagle. Great heads-up driving from everyone to get around. Stevens gets the power on, but he'll lose the position now to Andy Woodhouse very easily as there's a slowdown penalty coming in for Nicole Foggy, and it's on lap 2, which is the worst time to get it. So he will drop a number of positions back down the field. He tries to stay with Cedric Nebelchek and Robin Haase, and he does so as Dan Brown there on the outside will surely have to yield through this turn 12, and he does. So Nicole Foggy gets the position that he wants. It's on for the race lead, though, as Johnny Brandon and Julian Janowski continue to scrap, and Janowski will not give up a place easily, and that was what Johnny Brandon is going to have to try and learn very, very quickly here in terms of how this race is going to be run. He knows that he's got all the time in the world to make that move. The issue is he's got 6 left to try and hold off Janowski, or try and get by Janowski, as everyone else will try close their way in. Here is Steve Baxter, though, trying to make the move on Andy Maxwell's behind that. Kip Stevens tries to come back at Andrew Woodhouse. Side by side, Noah's Ark, too wide, too deep on the brakes. Maxwell is so deep in, and that's going to be contact, and oh, can he save it? Steve Baxter, he can, and now Kip Stevens might think about how to go through. He can't, and suddenly Andrew Woodhouse gets mugged in all of that by Cedric Nebelchek, and that was complete thievery as he stole the position, and he probably stole his lunch money as well to go with it, as now he tries to get it back, but he won't do, as around the outside, Nebelchek will try on Kip Stevens. Can he get the move done? No, he cannot. This mid-pack now suddenly gets a powder keg in it, as all of a sudden there's Robin Haase trying to defend this one from one driver as well. As Stevens struggles, he runs straight into Andrew Woodhouse there in the side, and Robin Haase gets a bit of door on the side as Woodhouse likes to fight on that outside, a little bit like Fit Finlay, as he gets on the brakes into the left-hander, and he gets himself through, but again, more contact as Kip Stevens dumped into the gravel, and he gets back on track, and Foggy's going to just about get a position through the 2 boosted cars. Nowhere to go. Gardner and Hedgecock ahead of Gardner, so they are going to be in their position at the moment. This mid-pack has been a massive scrap, and in all of that, the race lead has changed because Johnny Brandon is through on one certain mistake-driven Julian Janowski, who made the mistake at turn 5, got himself sideways on the inside curb and lost the position overall. So Johnny Brandon leads this one outside overall. It's now Janowski in second, John Roberts in third, and fourth is still somehow Andy Maxwell after all of that. Down the inside goes Adam Hedgecock. He's through on Kip Stevens in a big battle in the middle of the pack and gets the move done with a very comfortable aplomb as he now looks to chase down, as the pace indicates, likes of Foggy, Dan Brown, Andrew Woodhouse and Nebelchek already on the back of Steve Baxter, trying to chase down time, and he will do so with a lot of ease as Nicole Foggy gets down the inside of his teammate Dan Brown and looks to make the move very quickly, and I think he will get so on to the break, and there is no doubt about it. Nicole Foggy is through, and he is back into 9th place. No worries there. He went on through at that scenario, so he'll be happy with the way that things have gone. But look at the front of the field, because Julian Janowski has not fallen off the back of Johnny Brandon, and that's telling here that the draft is a very prevalent weapon around this track, that Janowski can stay in the toe of Johnny Brandon, and Brandon maybe only running 95% right now, trying to make sure that his race works. Andy Maxwell under pressure, though. Here's Steve Baxter down the inside. Oh, that's late. Very late on the brakes there from Andy Maxwell. He's trying to attack at every corner to defend, and all of a sudden the door opens up and Steve Baxter, who's had to pretty much drive very, very carefully around the car, goes through, and you can't turn in on him like that, Andy, because Baxter gets it, and now Nebelshek thought about the inside. No, there's no room at the end there. You can't make the move done. He has to look to the outside, and I wonder how easy XV Racer cars are going to make life for Nebelshek here after everything that happened at the end here. Huge defense to the inside from Steve Baxter. How will Nebelshek go around the outside? How will he choose to try and make that move? He can't get it done just yet. Woodhouse runs by the ground. He'll do the number of as well. He goes through that outside turn 13, always dangerous, and he does get it, and Foggy runs into the back of Maxwell, who was struggling in terms of his pace. They continue though to go through, and still the battling continues in this mid-pack, and it goes all the way back to one Jim Flanagan in 18th place, this 18th to 3rd on the road. They're all together at the moment. Steve Baxter under pressure, hard to the inside once again. Nicole Foggy on the outside of Andy Maxwell, trying to make the moves, and Nebelshek, oh, he's trying to go for the inside. He finally gets what he wants. I'm not going to fight you out there, says Steve Baxter. I'll just go around the outside. No room being given on that inside. And again, no chance of making the move. Nicole Foggy finds himself away down the inside of Andy Maxwell. Now Dan Brown wants to get in and try and find a way through. Excellent battling between them as 1 second gets broken for Johnny Brandon away from Julian Janowski. You will be very happy about that. Here's Dan Brown, though, on the outside of Repsol, trying to make the move stick, and he goes very deep in around that outside, and he will be able to pick up that run coming off of the exit. He will be a little bit behind, getting himself into turn 5, formerly known as Elf. On the brakes he goes, and oh, just about a car width and a bit less given. Bit of contact between them. No fault on Dan Brown there. He comfortably makes the move through, and Adam Hancock now has to be very straight on. Go through. He was really on in this field, and now they look to try and battle it out all over and again as they look to push through. John Roberts now on the outside as through down to the inside goes one certain Steve Baxter trying to make the move, as does Nicole Foggy here on Robin Haase. Who's going to be the latest of the breakers? Oh my goodness, it's certainly going to be Nicole Foggy as he absolutely bombed on Robin Haase brilliantly. And now Nebelshek's got to defend here, just about leaves the channel open, and that's a brilliant scrap that works out in favour. So that one very much worked, as we apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for the bit of lag there. Can't help that, that's just the internet going. As on the brakes, 3 wide into turn number 4 at Repsol, and John Roberts holding the inside, brilliant. Pinched a little bit now is going to be Cedric Nebelshek. He's stuck on the outside. On the inside there, fantastically, it's going to be Nicole Foggy. John Roberts is defending as if his life has depended on it, and this is brilliant work as Nebelshek gets around the outside, rubs door panels once, rubs them twice, third time's not the charm as he backs out of it into turn 7. A wise decision from Cedric Nebelshek as he pushes on forward and now maybe thinks about the inside at turn 9. We have seen become a reality. No chance then of making that move up the hill on the off-camber right-hander. It will have to be at Lakaitsa, turn 10, and Foggy's getting a good run as well as they make that push, and they will have themselves not long. John Roberts was a lot earlier on the brakes than Nebelshek was expecting, and there's contact there, and just like that, 3 positions get lost, and here's the 4th that's coming into view, and just like that as well, there's 6 positions gone. Has John Roberts got any damage on the rear suspension? After that one, it's the only real weak point of these vehicles. Johnny Brandon still leads its race at the front by 1.2 seconds. Now Nicole Foggy has full bore to attack both Robin Haase and also Cedric Nebelshek out on track. But Robin Haase has managed to find his way back through as there's a huge pile-up, massive pile-up in the back there with Niels Carstensen and one of the optical cars. Don't tell me it was Maxwell again who was on the outside. And it was, I don't think it was actually at that point. So Carstensen coming through, and behind him now is, yes it is, Andy Maxwell, who gets on the brakes, and oh, it's just a messy incident as they go in. Nowhere to go for James Leggett as everyone has to funnel their way through. No need for a caution there. They all cleared themselves up. But that at the back of the field was not kosher through that section, as through all of that, Nicole Foggy has found his way through once more on Robin Haase at turn 1. There's nothing that Robin Haase can do about Nicole Foggy here today. That much is very much true. The battle for third, though, is falling away as Steve Baxter is struggling here, as Cedric Nebelshek is just able to keep himself in a good position, is just able to defend from drivers behind. There is no real attack that is there at the moment, and that is very, very telling. Behind, John Roberts under pressure. Here's Kip Stevens, who started today in 6th place, trying to make the move against pole sitter. He cannot find that way to make that one stick, so he will have to sit and he will have to wait a little longer. Ashley Beard as well. He's there in the background. He's trying to get past Sean Gardner, who is pretty much favourite now to take the lead of the AM category here, as now Foggy attacks Nebelshek around the outside to try and make this move sorted, and he's still got the nose, and he will have the nose through the left-hander. Foggy's got better acceleration coming out of that corner, and again, Nebelshek on the outside. He's got to try and hold himself in there, and he pinches so well low, and Foggy's got to be brave here at turn 13. Nebelshek's going to hold him every step of the way on that inside line, and now Nicole Foggy has thought about how he fights on the outside, and he's done well. Now the up and under attempt comes in at turn 16, and oh, there's just a door length there to try and put yourself through. Uses all of the track on the exit. Nebelshek loses out though. That's brilliant work from Nicole Foggy, who finds himself now into 4th place as Carl Hardy gets out of the way as lap traffic, and Robin Haase starts attacking now. Hello, where did that come from? As he starts attacking his teammate. No team orders at Rennsport Online as he goes through, finds himself now into 5th place. So some good work. Nebelshek loses 2 for his mistakes as Ashley Beard finds his way through on Sean Gardner in the background. Just like that, Nebelshek, who was comfortably in 4th, is now back into 6th place overall as the white flag lap is here and now. So he's got to get aggressive once again with his teammate of all people this time. This is some stellar battling, but it is Johnny Brandon who leads this one overall. Does Nebelshek attack at turn 5 and sacrifice the podium and any sort of points, get himself a chance to go through? On the brakes he goes. No chance at turn 5, formerly Elf, as they make their way up towards 7 and 8 once again. And I think that Robin Haase now has to think about how carefully he treads on this final lap. Dan Brown behind, Adam Hedgecock behind that as well, as they all look to attack and head up the hill. You got also Samson, Gardner, Beard, Stevens and Roberts all battling for a top 10, 9th and 10th. That battle seems to be at the moment. Is there a look at Lekaitsa for Cedric Nebelshek, who desperately attempts to try and make that move? On the brakes he goes. No dice through that section. No dice for anybody through that section as they head themselves up through the hill. But riding himself through the final couple of corners now will be Johnny Brandon. He will be labelled as Judas after the opening race, after that big bit of contact. But surely there is a redemption arc for everyone as he rounds through the final corner and says, critics, what critics? I win here at round 17 of the championship. Janowski gets 2nd and the scrap for 3rd. Is this going to be a gifted position for Nicole Foggy? It definitely is. For 3rd place then, Foggy's going to take it away from Steve Baxter. Haase gets 5th, Nebelshek only 6th, and it's 7th then for Dan Brown and 8th for Adam Hedgecock overall. John Roberts gets 9th. Ashley Beard in the end will round out the top 10 because Kip Stevens, through all of that, has contact with Beard on the outside, heading through the final chicane, gets himself a tap, stuck on the anti-cut curb, and there's a couple of positions for your troubles. Just like that, it ends just as such. So, classified results then, as follows here from round 17 of the championship, here at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Johnny Brandon, Judas wins in 15 minutes and 44 seconds. He wins by 1.9 over Julian Janowski, with Nicole Foggy in 3rd position. overall, getting himself ahead of Steve Baxter in 4th. Robin Haase will round out the top 5 with Cedric Nebelshek in 6th place. Dan Brown will get 7th with Adam Hedgecock in 8th. John Roberts was able to hold on for 9th place ahead of Ashley Beard, who rounds out the top 10, having gained 10 places of his own, with Sean Gardner 11th and Martin Sampson in 12th. Kip Stevens will finish this one 13th with Adam McNally in 14th. Andrew Woodhouse then drops back to 15th. James Leggett overall. Carl Jackalette followed by Michael Bingham 17th, 18th. Niels Carstensen only 19th for him, with Scott Malcolm 20th, followed by Andy Maxwell and Jim Flanagan. Last finisher on the lead lap was Dan Blake, who had himself his inst in the opening lap with Adam McNally. Carl Hardy finishes this one lap down as the last finisher after he had himself some issues with Adam McNally on the opening lap as well. Well, we're going to go to the final spinning wheel of the night. The final grid positions will be decided for the 30-minute feature of round 18 of the championship, which will mark the halfway stage of the season, 2/3. Get yourself some points for the showdown. We'll see how this goes. We spin that wheel right now. And the answer is 30. So it's a full reverse grid exactly for this one as they go through a full reverse grid to finish the night. We'll see you in a moment's time here with Forever Sim Racing. We'll be back with round 18 after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the British Sim Racers TCR Sunday Cup. Here with Forever Sim Racing. Some good racing, some bad racing, and to finish off the song, some ugly racing to go along with that as well. And very much it is pistols at dawn for a lot of drivers in this field. We are at round 18 now of the championship. This is the halfway race. This is all about momentum, taking it into the second half of the season, which I think many people are looking at thinking, well, it's been very tumultuous, very blustery to start. I think a lot of people are looking at maybe getting themselves back on the right track with showdowns happening just in 4 weeks' time. From this point onwards, that will be something that will occupy a lot of people up inside of the top 15 or so, trying to get one of 9 fantastic spaces into that position. Of course, a massive thanks has to go to Forcex Design, our graphic sponsor, as well as Violet, who has been crucial with her music. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp and also on Spotify as well. If you want to get more musical action, what she has been able to do. But on top of that, there is Mid-Ohio to think about in 1 week's time. All these drivers know that Mid-Ohio is a very similar course to this at Barcelona, very flowing, a very much a stop-start style of circuit as well. So they have to make sure that they have their A game available to them if they try and push at a level which they know that they are capable of. And I think a few drivers are thinking about Mid-Ohio and saying, well, you know what? It's going to be our time for the second half of the season. But as the track cools and we head ourselves to evening conditions here in Montemelo, Catalonia, Spain, of course, in Catalan's district with the Barcelona track, it is 23 degrees. Currently out there on track, 18 degrees in the air. So it's a cooler track, which is going to make life just that little bit more tougher with 15 extra minutes added onto the clock. It's about tyre conservation as well, which proves to be so vital with how races like these tend to go. So we'll see just how that plays out over the long and short of things. The driver who has been head and shoulders above, though, has been Nicole Foggia, first and a third over the course of the racing action, and he's got to try and do it all over again, but he's got a little bit longer, and he's going to have to hope that there is going to be a little bit of help out there for him the longer that this racing going to go on. A lot of drivers are hoping that this 30 minutes is going to be just a case of a quick 30 minutes, get out of Dodge and try and get yourself to the Barcelona International Airport as quickly as you possibly can before you escape over back to America and find yourself in Lexington, Ohio. But for a lot of drivers, this is a proving ground. This is an opportunity grab. And we saw a lot of that. John Roberts defended very well for long stretches of time, and he will not be happy about the way that he was dealt with. And I think a lot of drivers want to find themselves with a little bit of help out there on track to get themselves up through the order. A full reverse grid, well, that certainly does seem to help ease the tensions around this Barcelona track, as very much a similar to Spanish bullfighting, I think a lot of people have seen the red, so to speak, of the cape that has been flapping in the wind. It is over, though, for practice. 30 minutes, though, is about to start in just 1 moment's time. And the 1-minute gridding is going to be as follows for round 18 of the championship. Carl Hardy will be on pole position with Dan Blake alongside Jim Flanagan. We'll start from third with Andy Maxwell in fourth. Scott Malcolm and Niels Carstensen are on row 3, with row 4 consisting of Michael Bingham and Carl Jackalette. James Leggett and Andrew Woodhouse are on row 5, with Adam McNally 11th, Kip Stevens in 12th. Martin Sampson, Sean Gardner, Ashley Beard, and John Roberts make it up to 16, with Adam Hedgecock, Dan Brown, Cedric Nebelshek, and Robin Haase all the way to 20. The last 4, Steve Baxter, Nicole Foggy, Johnny Brandon. Right at the back of the field is Lee Deemer for this one. So he will have a very long day to get himself back through the field from there. And we'll see how that one all plays out as this one continues to go forward. Or every driver up on the grid, lights will be on. Final race of the night. Everything to play for. Green flag and go. And it's a good start from Carl Hardy. He's able to break away from Dan Blake as Jim Flanagan looks to recover his AM Championship points. He makes a good start. And through the middle is Andy Maxwell, who we know is very aggressive around this track as he wants to get himself through. They're 3 wide, almost 4 wide, fanning out in the background using all of the pit lane as they hit the brakes for the first time. It's all nice and calm as they go through that section, and no worries at all. Already Carstensen trying to get himself past the year 1 car. He does. He gets past Dan Blake, and it's contact. Scott Malcolm gets turned just like that. Just like that. He fans himself off and they get through, and there's a lot of contact. McNally was caught up in that as they all managed to keep themselves going just about. We stay green for the being as they all go through, but the top 5 are very much broken away in the early stages. No more contact as they're into the gravel. Will go Sean Gardner with help from Andrew Woodhouse, who got himself all mixed up on the brakes. It's a dangerous and deadly start here in the final race, and there's more dramas, there's more contact, and there's a spin as well as they go through, which is not ideal at all. And just like that, there is a yellow flag out and a caution here after incidents in the early stages, and that was not part of the script at all. A yellow flag happening after Dan Blake gets himself turned around, and time will be taken off of the clock after the early stages of battling. And just like that, it all ended in tears. Everyone got far too aggressive. One of the year 1 cars got turned around in the middle. A car spread eagle across the circuit and hidden away from everybody else. That surely constituted a caution in that situation, in that point of time. They'll lop 3 laps off of the clock, and they will just have to sit and wait. And for Carl Hardy, who had a fantastic getaway on that opening lap, it's now a long, long time for him to get himself through. And he can tick off here a lot of minutes on this clock, and that is going to be what he needs to stay as high in terms of position as possible. Yes, he had the breakaway, but the breakaway only did so much, as actually diving down in onto lane. Was that a jump start for Niels Carstensen then, as he went through on the opening lap? Because he's diving down into the pit, trying to get his advantage serve and serve a penalty quickly, so he's going to have a long time to stay on the lane, but he will gain an advantage by serving that penalty underneath the caution period. So that will be very, very useful as we are counting to see how long he is spending down on that very long pit road. I believe he's gone in and he's waiting right now. So we'll see how this one works for Niels Carstensen. He will drop himself to the back of the train. He was in 2nd position overall, so that's not going to be very ideal for him as he goes through, and he gets out of pit road, and I assume that was at least a 15-second stop that he was holding himself. Maybe got himself a bit of fuel, a bit of tires as well. Comes out behind Sean Gardner and Scott Malcolm and Carl Jackalette as well. So he will go right to the back of the train as he looks to go through, which does change up your order. So now Carl Hardy still leads this race, but Jim Flanagan for Team Mad in 2nd position. Ashley Beard is 3rd. Andy Maxwell still in 4th, but Cedric Nebelshek in all of that has got himself from 19th to 5th on the opening lap. And that is astounding in terms of what he's been able to do on that 1 lap. John Roberts there in 6th now. Kip 7th, Robin Haase 8th, Adam Hedgecock 9th, and Andrew Woodhouse rounds out the top 10 then in the early stages. So it's going to be very, very interesting from there. We can't serve a slowdown penalty, I do not believe, or serve a penalty under that caution. So probably it might have been a miscommunication error from Niels Carstensen. Maybe get a lap fresher tyres, maybe even I haven't fueled the car up properly. I've only fueled it for 15 minutes. Let's get 15 minutes more worth of fuel back in the vehicle. That was a very strange one there. Niels Carstensen, he'll have to do that work all over again, and it really puts RSO in a big disadvantage hole after the opening stages. In terms of some other big drivers who have looked to try and make some position through the field, Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon are both 13th and 14th on the road. Foggy, crucially, still ahead of Johnny Brandon. They've been working together. In fact, all four V-Racer cars, get this, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. If ever there was a unit to go through the field, that would be the unit that you'd be looking at to try and make those pushes. So we'll keep that in mind as they go on. The pit window will technically open on this lap as they go through to end lap 2. So they'll be able to come down in probably at the end of this lap, and then the lights should go off on top of the iRacing Porsche first safety car, and that will allow us to go back to green flag racing at the end of lap 3, the start of lap number 4. For Carl Hardy, though, he will get some points, and he'll get some good points as well, and those will be showdown points because he gets a point because he led a lap, and technically at this point in time, he does hold the fastest lap of the day as well, so technically he's on course for 3 points coming out of this, and he'll be very happy if he can get himself up inside the top 9, but he, of course, has himself a lot to work, and it's a lot of exposure as well for the team as well. Result Clothing up there being very, very happy, having themselves at the front. Team Mad there in second, Excite Energy in third. Ashley Beard is in prime position right now to try and get exactly what is wanted from him, as down onto the lane comes Dan Blake to get his fast repair, to get himself out and going, and pushing on forward one more time. So we'll see how that one plays out as drivers weave and try and use this version 7 tyre model, try and get their tyres, keeping them up to temperature as much as possible. Lights are off, though, on top of the iRacing Porsche first safety car. We will be going green at the end of this lap. So keep an eye out on who could make charges. Robin Haas is in 8th position at the moment. He could try and make some pushes, as could Adam Hedgecock, to be fair to him, 9th place, who has been very good in terms of qualifying. His races haven't gone the same way, though, and he's looking to try and pick those up as quickly as he possibly can. So we'll see how that one plays out as they head through the opening sections of the lap once again. And it was just a case of 3 separate chain reactions incidents that really took effect. The first, of course, on that opening couple of corners was the big spin heading through turn 2 into turn 3. That didn't help matters at all. That involved the likes of Scott Malcolm and co. You then got into turn 4, Andrew Woodhouse making his contact with Sean Gardner, bumping him to the back of the field. That wasn't part of the plan. And then the big spin over at turn 5, that was the one that constituted caution and was never going to be easy to deal with the longer that the racing went on. So we'll keep that in mind as these all seem to go on. But there have been some big gainers for someone who was in need of points desperately after maybe facing a big wrath of the stewards. It's all in their hands. Cedric Nebelshek needs points big, needs points fast, needs points now, as he needs to try and get himself up past these 4 drivers. But the toughest driver to pass will be, no doubt, the vehicle in 3rd position, Ashley Beard, who has been quiet again over the course of this race. He's been better than last week at Road Atlanta, but is still in a position where he will have to play defensive cards if he wants to keep himself in a prime position with his magical point. So we'll keep that in mind as the racing action will continue at the end of this lap. Every driver will be trying to pull themselves into a proper position coming out of this one, get everything that they possibly can. Worth noting that about 7 minutes have been taken off the clock. It's only really now a 23-minute race. That means that the tyres are going to be a lot less worn over the course of the racing. It's going to mean that there's going to be more chances for aggression here, but the restart is going to be all under the control of Carl Hardy, who's letting that pace car, that iRacing mandatory cause safety car there, in terms of the safety car goes around the track all on its own. That safety car run by the iRacing system, we'll call him Jim inside of the safety car because that's now what's going to be his name. But we'll see just how this one plays out for Carl Hardy, who does have that ability to back up the field on this restart, and that's going to worry quite a few drivers as they go on. How will they play off in terms of this start as the safety car makes its way through the final couple of corners and dives down onto pit road, waiting now is Carl Hardy, who can go whenever he wants to, as that safety car has gone down in, and he makes the jump early as he makes that push, and he gets himself the green flag, and we are back to green flag running here at Barcelona, here at the circuit to Barcelona-Catalunya, and already he's having to go defensive here into the opening corner. Andy Maxwell under pressure as well. Here's Cedric Nebelshek looking down to the inside for 4th place. Has he got the move sorted? Yes, he has, because Maxwell's struggling on cold tyres, and John Roberts will want to go around the outside. Hardy runs slightly wide as well, heading through turn 2 and into 3. It's going to be trouble. Maxwell gets a tap from John Roberts and gets a freebie down the inside, and there's going to be going through Kip Stevens and Robin Haase surely to gain positions as well. They are. Now is there a look then as Flanagan tries to get in. Bit of contact there onto the back of Carl Hardy, who gets sent into the gravel, and Flanagan takes the race lead, but now all of a sudden he's got the 2 hounds chasing him down. No room at the end there, and a big lunge down the inside from Nebelshek, who goes to the supermarket, gets 2 for 1 and gets the race lead. Brilliant work. Nebelshek leads this one, and he does it all in the space of half a lap's worth of action as he makes that push through and gets what he wanted. Train struggling then for second as Ashley Beard tries to go around the outside, and he gets the move done. Crucially on a blinking Jim Flanagan, who goes through, and it battles behind Nicole Foggy, who now trying to get past Andrew Woodhouse as Johnny Brandon makes his way through on the likes of Andy Maxwell. Steve Baxter wants to freight train as well in the same position. They're side by side though, as Robin Haase looks to try and get up onto the podium, and they're very deep on the brakes behind that as well, as they all look to try and find a way through. John Roberts with nowhere to go with his teammate. Oh, he's turned his teammate. He's turned his teammate. The 2 Boosted cars continue the trend of Boosted cars coming together. They said that's their MO, their modus operandi, and it's happened again. So Adam Hedgecott gets turned by his own teammate. Well, yeah, you can't write it if you tried here, ladies and gentlemen. It's the long-running meme of British sim races. Boosted cars touch each other or hit each other time to time. So that is not what they wanted, but still, though, they've got some good battling here as Baxter looks to get aggressive and try and make his way through, and he gets past Woodhouse with relative ease. Dan Brown will be next in terms of can I make a way through. Answer to that is going to be yes, but Nebelshek has 1.2 seconds now over Ashley Bearden for third. Here's Robin Haase, who still couldn't find a way past Jim Flanagan on the brakes into the opening corner, trying to open it up. And that's brave. Round the outside of 2. Contact between them slightly maybe, but now they head through 3, and it's all the inside for Robin Haase, and he will be having to hold on here hard. Oh, a little wiggle there, a bit of oversteer maybe, or contact for Flanagan, and he's got to try and get himself in. Kip Stevens very quick onto the rear of that train as he looks to try and push for a way down the inside. No dice. He heads through that section, no dice at all in terms of that one. Behind that, Andy Maxwell still losing positions. Here's James Leggett around the outside of turn 4, trying to pick up that move and get it done. And can he get the move sorted? Maybe. Have a look at turn 5. He might have this chance to go and make this move a possibility. Very deep in his Maxwell, and that's going to be under Steer City, and he'll lose the position. Oh, contact with Carl Hardy, able to keep it together between the pair of them. They were 1st and 4th, and now they're down around 10th, 15th-ish, that sort of area. Kip Stevens now trying to attack Jim Flanagan. He's next on the attacking train, and he realizes there's a Nicole Foggy behind. He's got to be careful about how he decides he wants to push and choose this, and always let Foggy go. And he's going to let Johnny Brandon go as well. So the wise head of Kip Stevens, this is why he doesn't have any point in terms of his showdown points, but has himself in the championship hunt because he is so good at keeping himself in position, doing well. There's contact in the background as once more Andy Maxwell gets involved, this time with Carl Jackalette as a Jackalette around the outside gets the move done that he so very, very happily wanted to get done. So he'll be happy about the way that he's got that, but it's not sorted here. Inside line at turn 13, but Jackalette has the move done at the end of that section. Very, very good. Now Nicole Foggy starts thinking about 4th place here and thinks about Flanagan and thinks about next move, next time, next opportunity. 56-1 that last time by from Nicole Foggy. It was only 4/10 slower than Cedric Nebelshek, and he had to get past vehicles. Down the inside he goes, picks up the move. Johnny Brandon will not, though, on the Team Mad car, and that's going to be very, very crucial for Jim Flanagan, who will now defend against Foggy's teammate here through turn 3. No chance of making the move just yet, but you can see a contrast in lines. Different in, different out, and it's out which Johnny Brandon gets well. Now moves himself to the inside, and this is a masterclass in how to overtake because he used turn 3 just to set up the move into Repsol corner, turn 4, and he got that move without any fuss at all. That's how you make an overtake, not like he did Johnny in race 1. But still, there is one driver down on pit road at the moment. It's Scott Malcolm, and he is probably getting his penalty, not a penalty surge, but getting his fast repair out of the way, trying to run for the hills, as your top 3 currently are like follows: Nebelshek, Beard, and Haase, with Nicole Foggy trying to chase down the remaining of this race. Adam McNally trying to get aggressive here. He's got James Leggett just in front, trying to get by. Can he make the move down the inside? Oh, he thought about it. He had 2 separate looks there at turn 9. Knows that he's running in VR as well, which is retrospectively known as one of the best ways to run. It's either VR or triple screens for those of you trying to get into sim racing. But he's trying to think about how he gets himself a way through. Again, no chance, but he's trying to get up and underneath, and he gets himself up and underneath, actually, but he's stuck on the outside now for turn 12, which is always difficult for McNally. And again, no chance here, but now he's going to try and get back up and under once more to pick a pocket, once more to try and get a position. Can he get it sorted? Almost contact once again, almost contact a second time. There's the contact on the 3rd attempt, and that runs Leggett wide, and McNally will try and pick it up in the background. There goes one of the year 1 cars. Oh no, there's more contact. Round goes Adam Hedgecock, sideways as he goes. It was a clumsy rejoin by Carl Jacquelet as he got himself back onto track. That was not good at all, but look at this. Carl Hardy now getting back on the aggressive factor as Adam McNally has nothing through the final corner, and they're going to be 3 wide. Oh no, Adam, you can't thread through a gap like that. He wisely backs out of it and almost makes contact. In fact, he did into turn 1 there. So Carl Hardy goes off, McNally goes off. Thank you, says Michael Bingham, who will pick up 2 positions, and he'll be so pleased at the way that he's been able to procure those, and he'll be trying everything now, try and make sure that his race works for him in his favor as they continue to scrap on throughout this field. Suddenly, though, the threat is real from the XV Racer boys, because all of a sudden, Nicole Foggy found himself 7/10 quicker that last time by over Robin Haase, and that's going to be the big telling factor here. Robin Haase will have to defend this. The gap is 0.8 of a second, but is able to stem the bleeding over the course of this lap as we are over the halfway distance in this race, and that is very crucial because this second half becomes the vital half where everyone is now trying to think and attack and try and get some moves. Kip Stevens is one of them, thinking about getting through on Jim Flanagan. Has he run too deep? No, he hasn't. So he can take that Lakaiksa corner many different ways, not the 1004 corners, the 1004 lines at Sebring's Big Bend or Sebring Sunset Bend even, but ultimately Jim Flanagan's still able to keep the position, which he very much wanted to do at that point in time. McNally trying to get on the offensive, as is Sean Gardner, though, trying to get around Carl Jacquelet. Can he get that one to work around the outside? He's already made friends, Jacquelet, today with boosted machines in just the last lap, and around the outside of turn 13, a lot more confidence there, able to get the move sorted as they concertina up through the chicane and try and get themselves back on a good run here through, as Kip Stevens now finally gets the move he wanted over Jim Flanagan. He moves to the inside. Some say Kip the hair flick Stevens, the Bermuda man, gets his move and he moves himself up fantastically into 6th place once again as Robin Haase now on the outside of Nicole Foggy loses the position. And is it again a case of turn 1? This time it's turn 2. Robin Haase gets all of the curb. He gets himself through turn 2 and has to serve the slowdown because he's too aggressive over the turn 1 curb. He's done well to stay behind Nicole Foggy there, but Robin Haase all of a sudden finds himself there in 3rd, and the top 5 all started outside of the top 15 with a safety car. That tells you just how good those top 5 are. Nebelshik, Beard, Haase, Foggy, Brandon. And for the moment, Ashley Beard has himself about 2 seconds worth of buffer and 15 minutes to try and run away, as now here's Dan Brown down the inside of Jim Flanagan. This one for 7th place now. Flanagan desperately trying to get points on Sean Gardner to keep his AM category championship lead intact. It doesn't look likely, but every point's going to be a loss. And here is Steve Baxter looming as he has to give room on that outside, has to try and make a way through. And can he get that way through? On the brakes he goes into the Lakaiksa corner. No chance there, but on the exit maybe. Again, a good exit there. Jim Flanagan's good through the exit where Dan Brown wasn't, was able to get back up underneath. But again, no chance, no real way to go and make that move, as now Johnny Brandon's found his way through on Robin Haase as well, and he got that one done at Lakaiksa. Turn 10, a lunge down the inside, and a lot of room given there by Robin Haas. They've come together twice, and there's a slowdown, and it's Ashley Beard, and that's what you didn't want to see. As he was heading through that section, got himself over the curb on the second half, and I think he got a slowdown even earlier than that, potentially, as he heading through. He serves it, and he serves it big at 100 kilometers an hour before he tries to get through, unless that is a bigger issue. And I think that might just be. I dare say that Ashley Beard's fueled for 15 minutes, or he's got an incredibly long slowdown penalty to get served, and I think he's dropped all the way back. So I don't quite know what happened there. I think it's the world's longest slowdown penalty, and the world's longest slowdown penalty constitutes to now behind Adam McNally as he goes through. He was stuck in third gear is what we're seeing. So maybe a case of the shifter not working as he was stuck. That was back and good. Once again, as I just caught Andrew Woodhouse getting all shades of sideways through the Repsol corner, getting the grass and just about able to save it. So Andrew Woodhouse currently having to deal with defense at the moment, which was not what he was thinking about as this race continues. The gap, though, for Cedric Nebelshik at the front of the field. 4.7 seconds, though, but he lost 3/10 over that last lap. Nicole Foggy is chipping away, and he's hoping that mistakes, which have come before for Nebelshik, not out on his own too often, but mistakes come out of the 393. He knows that Foggy's chasing, as is, Johnny Brandon. Hopefully we don't see a second run of that. On the outside, though, Jim Flanagan. Oh, there's contact there. Bit of Netco contact, but he saves it, does Flanagan. Great save, but Steve Baxter finds his way through. There shouldn't have been any style of contact like that, but Baxter does very well to make sure that he keeps himself in position. Dan Brown fighting it out with Kip Stevens as they go on. This scrap for 6th place, and does Kip fight this one as they go through, or does he decide to let them go? Behind that, James Leggett still defending Adam McNally, and now also Ashley Beard, who's gone backwards. This is a tough scrap between them, but look at this. Here's Dan Brown down the inside of Kip Stevens, and it's given by Kip Stevens. Of course it was. He doesn't fight with the XV Racer boys. He hasn't had any reason to have any real argument with them as he gets on the brakes into the right-hander there of turn 1, and then into the left 2 for the big, long 180-degree right of turn number 3. They're 3 wide behind, though. It's 2 Excite cars, and the filling is very much boosted, but it's the filling that wins out. Look at that from James Leggett. He's racing a storm, and they've suddenly got a Niels Carstensen on the back of them right now, and that is not good at all for them as they check out how this one is going to play out, how everyone's going to race. For the moment, anyway, McNally under pressure from his own teammate, Ashley Beard. Does he think about the move? No, he doesn't. So still confidence in the fact that McNally could get away past James Leggett, but ultimately nothing doing at the moment as they continue to have their battles and they continue to have their scraps at the moment. It's the lower positions at the moment which are scrapping, the likes of, say, Martin Sampson going with John Roberts. And there's Michael Bingham going off into the gravel just like that. Was there contact with John Roberts? Roberts was way too deep in on the brakes. There's Netco contact as well, in which exacerbated it, but John Roberts there was way too deep on the brakes and does hold off Martin Sampson just about. So he'll be good in the fact that he was able to hold those positions and hold those positions well as the racing continues. But still, though, it is going to be a case of what's the mid-pack doing, and they're still fighting. Carstensen down the inside of Ash Beard, who is there on the outside. Very difficult corner, turn 11, always easy to go 2 into 1. Oh, bit of a touch there from Ashley Beard, and he's going to pick that run up off the exit there and get the position back. So that was some clever driving and almost contact there from Carstensen, who had to get out of it on the brakes. So they head through the left-right of final chicane. Out on track, still no chance of McNally getting past James Leggett, who is proving every single time that he can defend that move, as Sean Gardner now makes himself 1 lap down in the field as he waits to get himself back. A bit of clean air, knows his race is all but dashed at this point in time. Gap at the front down to 4.3 seconds, but that is not enough for Nicole Foggy. Needs to be chasing down at about half a second to a second a lap now if he wants to win that race, and he simply put is not at the moment. Leggett, though, still defending here with Adam McNally and still proving just how good he is on the defense. McNally, who is very good at getting away down the inside, again, cannot find it at Repsol. On the brakes around the outside, he looks to try and run up the exit as much as possible. But again, he doesn't have anything here through turn 4. You can run that outside line very well. And just in front of them is Sean Gardner, who is lap traffic, who will have to get out of the way of all of these drivers at some point in time to try and make the racing work for them. So we'll see how that plays out, but it is helpful to have a boosted car that doesn't make mistakes like you did just now. Field bunches up. Beard has to go to the outside. McNally now has to defend from his own teammate because he was stuck. And was there contact there through that section? One contact, two contact, red contact, blue contact, and just like that. Oh no, that's a pass in the grass. Oh my goodness me. How dare you do that? That's outrageous for Ashley Beard. He had to commit to it, and he did. That's well done as they went on through, and just like that, they just did some brilliant work as they go through, and Leggett still has the position somehow, and it's madness. Carstensen rubbing doors there with Ashley Beard as they go on through, and just like that, they will be very happy as they were going to go. And on the brakes, they go into the left-right chicane once again. Is there going to be a chance? No, there's the Netco contact. And a good save from Ashley Beard. Carstensen was always down the inside, and that was never, ever going to be more than just a gentle tap. But just like that, thank you very much. Positions lost and slow down on the outside of the corner for a second time. They're really making sure they get themselves through. Look at McNally. Oh, he rubbed doors. There was contact there as they head through towards turn 1 once again. James Leggett there on the outside just said, you know what, I've had enough of battling you. Let yourself go, because I'm not going to fight that, as he loses the position. But crucially, as does everyone behind. There's contact in front, though. Flanagan and Baxter go together. They both take a trip to Hamilton and Rosberg's gravel on the outside as they look to join the circuit. Woodhouse doesn't know what to make of it. He's got to try and pick a lane through all of this, and still they fight. Baxter has met his kryptonite in Jim Flanagan, and oh, there's a trap down the inside, and that was all because of Woodhouse there. Woodhouse into Flanagan, into Baxter, who gets dumped into the gravel, and just like that, much time lost, and he's ahead of James Leggett only now in terms of that. That was not brilliant at all, driving from all three of them, but Jim Flanagan keeps his position, and Woodhouse now has another position to try and gain in the Evolution Racing Team car. Lee Deemer on the back of it for Excite Energy as well, so they start making their pushes through, but there isn't much time left. There is under 5 minutes remaining here in this race, and every position now matters in terms of their battles as they go through. How do you pick up those points? Where do you pick up those points? And crucially, how do you feel heading to mid-Ohio in a week's time? This is going to be the big key factors as they battle. Leggett gets contact again from McNally. 2 bits from McNally. He says, I'll give him 2 bites of the cherry, and he still holds the position. On the brakes they go into the chicane once more, and now what can you do as you get yourself through the lefts and rights? No! 2 wheels up, and there's going to be Carstensen. He's caught with his own 2 wheels up, and they both hurt each other through that section, and they will drop themselves those positions. Once again, not ideal. Here's Andrew Woodhouse, good on the long run, looking at the outside now to try and make the move. On the brakes he goes, and not gonna get there. He had to turn in, but he turned slightly too early, and Lee Deemer's all over Andrew Woodhouse like a rash as he dives to the side here at turn 3. Woody has to leave the door open through this section, and every point onwards, is there contact between them? Maybe there is, as they now make their way towards turn number 4. Repsol corner once again. On the brakes they go, and keep a nose on the inside. There was contact. Woodhouse into the gravel and loses out a lot of time, and that was not ideal. Finally, though, McNally and Carstensen get their man in James Leggett, but Carstensen immediately gets his promise and makes his move through. McNally trying to fight this one back on the outside, though, here for 12th and 13th and 11th, and Leggett gets the tap, and he gets the move through on McNally. So just like that, more contact back, and Leggett gets his position, and McNally finds his own kryptonite the same way Baxter did with Flanagan. Carl Hardy on the back of it, as is Carl Jacquelet. Here as the 2 Carls also look to scrap, and into the gravel is Jim Flanagan. Dan Blake's pulled over to the side of the road. I don't quite know what's happened with him. Something technical, it looks from that standpoint, but they're all on his own. Jim Flanagan finding himself wider than anything and losing a position to Lee Deemer, who can run away with things. And is that Robin Haster in 4th? Yes, it is. But look at how Nebelchik is being closed down in, but has only 1 lap to go with a handful of seconds in the pocket, 3 of them to be precise. It's on for second, though. Johnny Brandon's going to fight this one with Nicole Foggy here. They've waited, and there's no look into turn number one. They're 3.7 seconds back. They know that it is a win is a bridge too far, but both of them want to get some good points here. Try and get it. Woodhouse runs wide as well as they go on through that section, and they continue to have their scrap. They continue to have their battle out on the road. Is there a chance for Brandon here at turn number 4? We haven't seen much of them all race long because they've been on their own working together to pull their way through, but now suddenly the gloves are off because it is the white flag lap. Looks to the outside to try and make the move here at the Elf Corner, the former Elf Corner at turn 5. All the track being used by Nicole Foggy. Well run. Defended again here at turn 6 into 7 and 8. And again, Johnny Brandon sits and patiently looks for the move, and it could be coming out of here up into turn 9. Better chance than any. Dive at Lekaiksa could be the best place for it as he gets himself through the right-hander, and through they go on the power once again, as now everybody looks to try and think about it. Woodhouse with a slowdown will lose out to Adam McNally and also to Niels Carstensen and also maybe to James Leggett as well if he's not too careful. But look at this. On the outside is going to be Johnny Brandon. He's got the inside line, has he? Here for the magical turn 12. No chance as they head to Europe car at turn 13. But Cedric Nebelchek, what can you say about him? Involved heavily in the incident. We talked about Judas wins. Well, Judas wins twice. Lightning does strike twice. Nebelchek gets his redemption arc as he runs himself through the final corner and picks up the win in round 18 to round out the first half of the season. Nicole Foggy holds off Johnny Brandon second and third. Robin Haase will pick up 4th place. It's still on between Jim Flanagan and Niels Carstensen, though. Keep an eye on this one as they make their ways over towards the line. Jim Flanagan oh no! Handbrake! Just like that, he hit the handbrake, and 2 positions went. And here's the third as Leggett tries to go around the outside. No dice, contact of big netcode, and Flanagan in all sorts of trouble. His amateur category championship lead pulls away at the worst possible time for it as he finishes miles down the order. What happened to the Team Mad car there? It went full Team Mad through the final lap, but that pretty much rounds all but everyone across the line except the last couple of drivers. This is how it all ends here at Barcelona. Well, it's Cedric Nebelchek who picks up the win, 30 minutes, 4 seconds. He does so with a safety car and does so by 4.1 seconds over Nicole Foggy. Johnny Brandon is third just behind. Robin Haase gets 4th for Rennsport Online, making it 2 and 2 for them. But Dan Brown in 5th place gives big points over to them heading to mid-Ohio. It's a 6th place for Kip Stevens with Lee Deemer in 7th. A great run from him from dead last with Steve Baxter in 8th. Niels Carstensen getting to 9th and Adam McNally rounding the top 10. It's worth noting that Niels Carstensen pitted under the caution and got back to 9th place. James Leggett gets himself 11th place in the end ahead of Carl Hardy and Carl Jacquelet. Martin Sampson, quiet run from him, up 1 position up to 14th. Andrew Woodhouse and John Roberts 15th and 16th as both Roberts and Hedgecock, who both turned each other during racing proceedings, they start where they finish, 16th and 17th respectively. Ash Beard gets 18th with Jim Flanagan 19th and Michael Bingham 20th. Andy Maxwell and Scott Malcolm 21st and 22nd. Last finishes on the leading lap. 1 lap down, Sean Gardner, crucially for the AM category championship, and crucially Dan Blake as well over the line, who had to pull over with a technical issue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is proceeding here from Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. That has been some wonderful racing out there on track, and I'm sure that the second half of the season will go just the same as it would with the first, as they look to try and make that push and they look to try and make those challenges. But to those who get it done for us, firstly to Forcex Designs, our graphic sponsors here on this Forever Sim Racing channel. The music you've heard today is by Violet. Make sure you check out her stuff on Bandcamp and also on Spotify as well. From Marco Barbanera, behind the cameras, worked out by Dougie Beard. I have been Jake Sperry. Nebelchek got a win. Brandon got a win. Foggy got a win. They were the 3 starlets race, but 2 of them very much fell to neutron stars, fell to black holes, fell to implosion. Nebelchek and Brandon have a very, very nervous week ahead of them as they await steward decision. For Nico Foggy, though, he can very much smile at the way that his run has gone as he looks at Mid-Ohio thinking championship lead for showdown season is very much mine. We'll see you in a week's time with Mid-Ohio from Lexington, Ohio, and we all remember that we all are forever.